Well, folks, here we again for the weekly forecast. And of course, the big news during this week was the activity earlier in the week in response to that upper air low that moved from the southern plains, merging with the big low that moved into California and brought the big flooding. Both of those merged in the center part of the country and strengthened as they moved toward the northeast. So we did drag a cold front through during the early part of the week that resulted in some thunderstorm activity, actually our first real significant thunderstorm activity of the season. That basically laid anywhere from a quarter to about an inch and a quarter of precipitation across portions of eastern Nebraska. And then we had a couple pieces of energy move on the backside of that upper air low that was situated over the western Great Lakes that brought actually some thunderstorm activity and some light snowfall activity to portions of western and central Nebraska. Now, speaking of the thunderstorm activity being our first thunderstorm activity of the year, occurred earlier this week, it's time to basically look at the new updates for the month of March and the spring put out by the Climate Prediction Center. So if we go to the upper air maps, what the thing I'll call your attention to is that the March forecast is calling for warmer than normal conditions to the west, into the northeast, and farther to our south. We're looking at below normal temperatures. The EC basically is an indication of that the statistical models can't make up a determination of whether to put it in above normal, normal, or below normal. So I like to call it your guess is as good as mine. In terms of the precipitation, it looks like above normal precipitation for the southern half of the United States. This is a result of them calculating that El Nino fueled storms will most likely have an impact on the southern plains. And of course, Nebraska sits on the northern periphery of this above normal precipitation trend. As we get into the March through May forecast, we see above normal temperatures across the northern plains, below normal depicted for Texas and basically New Mexico. And in terms of the precipitation, we see above normal precipitation from the southwest moving toward the now northeast, capturing the southwestern half of Nebraska. This is a classic El Nino pattern. The other thing I'll draw your attention to is below normal precipitation for the upper Great Lakes regions, which may indicate that we will see an early start to planting if the temperatures cooperate. Now, as far as the forecast, here's the upper air low that was responsible for our cooler than normal conditions. We get one last piece of energy moving around this. It's going to be a kind of a cool, raw day today, and then as the system rapidly moves to the northeast, we'll start to see this ridge build in. So by the time we get to tomorrow, we're looking at that ridge starting to build in, and we'll see a relaxation of the cooler than normal conditions as we start to see some nice warming. Sunday looks to be a nice day, and actually we may see a fairly nice day on Monday before this shortwave rapidly moves into our region and starts to strengthen. That will start to spread some precipitation in the central Rockies, and by the time we get into Tuesday, we'll see the first piece of energy shoot off into the Great Lakes, keeping most of the precipitation from northern Nebraska across the northern plains. And a more intense system looks like it's going to start to move across our region as we go into Tuesday night into Wednesday. So by the time we get to Wednesday, we'll start to see some of that energy digging toward the south, and we'll start to see the cold air moving into our region. All of those will combine to bring a southerly flow into our region and generate some precipitation, particularly on Wednesday, and some of that may actually carry over as we get into Thursday as the main system remains to our south. Right now they keep that system to our south and move it up into the eastern portions of the Great Lakes region, and we can see that that starts to occur by Friday with another system poised to move in next weekend. If this system moves a little bit farther north, and we are looking at a more extended period of heavier than normal precipitation. Besides that, we're looking at the 8 to 14 day forecast for next Thursday, the following Tuesday, and that shows a widespread area of above normal temperatures. And in regards to precipitation, we can see a very extensive area of precipitation, and that's more associated with that low that'll probably be pushing into our region as we get into next weekend and early into the following week.